Shut up!
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Conversations with Carol and Cheryl. Hi, Carol. How are you?
Good, Cheryl. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I get to go out, and entertain myself out on my deck instead of going out to local places. But other than that, it's okay.
Sounds like you're surviving the quarantine.
Yeah, it's all right for me. How about you?
Well, I'm watching a lot of Netflix.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about today is Dirty John. That was on Netflix, right?
Yep.
I've binged so much. I don't know if it's Amazon Prime, Netflix, or what. But okay, so we're going to talk about Dirty John today. I'm going to give you a rundown for those who have not watched it. A lot of people have already heard about it in the news and stuff. It was big a couple years ago. But anyway, for those that haven't seen it, it's about this woman named Debra Newell. She is in her, early 50s, and she's a successful interior designer that lives in California. She owns her own business, and she's very successful and doing very well. She has two daughters, Veronica, who's the oldest, and Tara, the youngest. She's been married 4 times before she married Dirty John. So that would make it her fifth marriage. She met this Dirty John, whose real name is John Meehan, and we'll call him Dirty John. She met Dirty John on a website for 50 and over. She met him 2 days after he got out of jail, which she did not know at the time. As she said herself, he checked all the boxes for her. He was a great guy to her. He was a doctor. That's what she liked. She liked that he helped people as a doctor. He was in Iraq. And he also participated in the Doctors Without Borders. So she just thought this guy was fantastic. They start dating, and the relationship develops really, really fast. They move in together in November and get married in December. He doesn't have money, and his excuse for that is that he is giving all his money to his kids from a previous marriage. This guy is just bad news. She doesn't catch on, but her daughters catch on before she does. The first daughter, Veronica, caught on immediately. And then the second daughter came around and caught on, Tara. And so this is just a scary story. When she discovers the truth about this Dirty John, it's in March. We'll go on and talk about it from here. So here, this woman marries this real con man. It happens real fast, and here we are. She is blindsided. What are your thoughts on that, Carol?
Well, first, let me just say this is a true story. This is not just a Netflix movie. This really happened. The daughters are, I believe, in their early 20s in the story. This is scary. And I think for myself personally, I could have fell for him. And I'll tell you why. First, he was hot, at least in the documentary. You could definitely, well, let's just put it this way. I had a physical attraction through the entire series. Talk about eye candy for mom. Woo! So he's gorgeous. But the thing that really won my heart was when he brought her smoothies every morning.
No kidding.
Like any guy that brings me a smoothie, I'm going to fall for. Women over 50 want to be pampered. They want to be dominated. They want to be treated like a queen. And he was very skilled. You could see why she fell in love with him. I fell in love with him.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed like the whole package. He just seemed like a nice guy.
He was driving her to work, making her smoothies. You know, you could tell they had the chemistry. They were having fun in bed. She had money. She had resources, a good job. Her kids were out of the house. So I think for her, I guess she had 5 marriages, like you said. I don't know, but I'm sure she was thinking, this is me time. It's time for me now.
Yeah, she thought this one was the soulmate.
And he was such a con artist. He just played right into it. But I could see how she would fall for him.
Yeah, I definitely think that people that fall for these con men like that, they shouldn't feel bad because it's just like if someone's looking to rob you, you're not on the lookout for them. They're on the lookout for you. They're going to try and get close to you and do nice things for you, and you don't want to spend your life thinking that, okay, this guy wants something. What is it? So it's only natural to think he's a great guy and give people the benefit of the doubt. To say that to the kids, they're looking for you. Anyone that wants to harm you, they're looking for you. You're not looking for them. And it applies in this. So she should not feel bad.
So could you fall for him?
I could have. But the one thing that did turn me off a little bit when he got up and walked out of the house that first night he tried to stay over, I did not like the switch of emotions, attitude, and how he stormed off. That would not have set well with me, but I could see myself forgetting it. With all the smoothies, with the rides to work, I'd give him the benefit of the doubt. And he showed up in scrubs everywhere. Like you wouldn't think he was lying about his job because he showed up in scrubs. So why would you even think something was wrong or that he was lying about it? It's really scary that when people say you got to do a background investigation on somebody and you think, wow, that's extreme. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. It's not, in my opinion.
Well, what do you think about the daughter? Because she had her red flag radar up. She picked up on it right away. She talked to the mom. She tried to tell the mom. I mean, would you listen to your daughter if she did not like your guy?
I don't know. Because that's another thing. You can make sense of that too. She may be thinking, she just doesn't want me to try this again. She's worried about me. It's my fifth husband. All the others didn't work out. Then things started getting real. But, it's to the point where she's locked in. I can see her dismissing it.
I would just be thinking of me. Like, this is really good for me. This is what I need right now. You need to go. Daughter, have your own life and get out of my space. Get out.
Right. And that's what you would think at that time. I've done everything for you guys.
Right.
This guy's for me. I'm having fun. Get over it.
Yeah. And the kids were worried about the money. I think that's normal. But as the mom, it's your account. You're not worried about it. You're going to protect your accounts. You're going to make choices and decisions. So you feel like you're in control.
That's a big reason why I'd probably discount what my daughter says, because I would think they're worried about that money. They want to make sure that they get it, and which is normal. You don't want some guy to come in late in your mom's life and take everything. When we were talking about doing this podcast, I answered my own question in my head. I was like, why? Why would somebody do this? And how would you know? And one of the things that a friend of mine who did marry someone after 3 months, and I found this to be true with a couple examples that I've seen in my life, that anytime somebody wants to rush marriage, it's because they're tired of putting on the front. It's exhausting. And when she told me that, I was like, that makes a lot of sense, because she said that happened to her marriage. He changed as soon as they got married. It seemed like that in this movie. When I was watching the movie, that's the first thing I thought of. He wants to start relaxing a little bit.
I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah, you think that they're, just head over heels for you, that they think you're wonderful. But really, they're just, this is exhausting me. The prick I always am.
Got to get back to my default setting.
Right.
This is too hard.
Yeah.
One thing I loved about the documentary was the photography and the design of the beach house and the furniture and the furnishings and then the daughter's apartments and the cars, life on the water. So bougie.
Right. Yeah, she had it made.
She really had everything except for the man. The other thing that was interesting was the extended family. The mom, the nephew's kids. She had a lot of support. and had family close by. It wasn't like she was totally needy for love or attention. She had other people in her space to meet her needs. I was surprised with all of that she jumped right in so quickly.
Yeah, she had people around her to do things with
Yeah.
and enjoy her money with. One thing I didn't mention in the overview of this was her sister died from an abusive husband. It still didn't raise red flags. And they were really, I guess some people would call them stupid. Some people would call them wonderful souls, however you want to call them. But the mom forgave her son-in-law that killed the daughter. The youngest daughter, Tara, was very much like the grandmother, her mom, Debra. But Veronica was sharp. She was not having it. So they were close knit. And the nephew, the son of her sister that was murdered, didn't like the guy either.
In the beginning, they were very pally-wally. Dirty John was really schmoozing the nephew, but he was just scamming him. He was trying to gather information that he could use later against him. And he was so mean when he said, "I'm so glad your dad killed your mom, and I wish you had seen it," or something like that. I don't remember the exact quote, but it was so mean. And I was surprised in the movie that the nephew didn't have more passion and hate towards Dirty John and want to partner with Debra to go after him. As the story progressed and he started showing his true colors and information was revealed, Debra got those attorneys and the daughters got the investigators, and the tables were starting to turn. But the nephew was not really a part of that. And I thought that was unusual because he was a man. I just thought, oh, he's sort of the man of the family and he's going to protect her. And he has reason to hate Dirty John too. But he didn't. It just seemed like the whole family was sort of compassionate and forgiving and easygoing, because I don't think I would have acted like that. Would you?
No, I would have definitely been on her at that point. Like, this guy's sick. What I don't understand either, too, is how he let the others see his side before he let Debra see it. I mean, he hid it from her. Maybe that's how people work it. They manipulate them and making them think everyone else is wrong. Maybe that was his point. But he did show his nasty side to everybody else, which I thought was weird. But now just saying it out loud, it's probably so he can turn her against them. He picked the perfect woman. If she's anything true to life like her character, I don't know how she could be married 5 times. The lady was so easygoing. And she liked to have fun. Where did her marriages go wrong? I mean, you have a nice looking woman who's rich, who's successful and easygoing. I don't get it. It was weird.
I think she was a bad picker. She just couldn't pick them. She picked losers.
Right.
But she wasn't a loser. I didn't think she was a loser at all.
No, neither did I.
I thought she was very loving towards Dirty John, a great wife, very loving, compassionate, fun. She was an excellent mother, very engaged in her daughters' lives. She provided for them. She was emotionally available when they had a problem. She was there as an advisor when they were making their plans. I just thought she was stellar. But she had a bad picker, I think. She just could not pick them.
That is a thing.
And then when it's pointed out to her, and she knows, she knew. And then she decides, she makes a conscious decision, I will let you back into my life. I will try and help you get straight. And I think he really did give it a good, honest try to get off the drugs and everything. I don't know if that was fake, all the withdrawals and everything. It seemed like he was really trying.
He had to go through it in front of her.
Yeah, she knew, though. She knew in her heart of hearts, in her bones, that he was a bad person. And she's like, okay, I'm going to give him a chance. And then when it goes bad, again, I think when she was going through the drawers and she found all the paperwork and she just had that little mini breakdown in front of the dresser there because she knew. Like she knew it was over. She knew this was not it, good for her. And then she went to that lawyer and asked for help because she knew she didn't sign a prenuptial. She was married. And then when he started going after her business, writing the reviews and everything, and she met with him and said, "What do you want? Do you want half my money?" I think she would have gave it to him just to get out of it. And he's like, "I don't know what I want." And he tries to kill the daughter. So she tried. I mean, she gave him every opportunity to get the money, to live a happily ever after with her. And he just kept wrecking it and getting more mentally ill as the story progressed.
I was surprised he didn't want to just live a normal life when he had that opportunity. He struck gold with her. And it's like he just couldn't, he was ill because he just could not stop the hateful stuff. And boy, he was scary. He would destroy you. Anyone that got in his way. Completely destroy you, like the attorney and the daughter. He's kept calling the office until the owner or whoever he was said, "I got to let you go. We can't have this." And you said the bad reviews, and you couldn't scrape them off the bottom of your shoes if you tried. He was all over you. That was so scary. But the thing that got me the most, which was so gross and so nasty, is when he hawked on the birth certificate and filmed it. I was like, okay, this guy's so sick.
Your germaphobe self just got freaked out.
Well, it was just so nasty. I mean, there's some things like I knew a girl who, and she ended up marrying him, who was in an abusive relationship. There's a lot of things I can hear. But you know someone's dirty to the core when they do stuff like the hawking on the birth certificate. Yeah. Well, this person knew she was going out, and he went out to her car before she went out and peed in the seat. And she ended up marrying him.
Nice.
Like that's as nasty and mean and a rotten core as much as the birth certificate incident to do that. I just thought, ugh. She asked me to be in the wedding, too. I really had a hard time with that one. That would be a good episode. Did you ever want to decline being a bridesmaid because you didn't believe in the marriage? That was a hard one for me.
Well, along those lines, I thought they dragged out the story into too many episodes. They really dragged it out. But the information about the father and all of the things the father made him do when he was a young boy was really pertinent to the story, because I think he was evil. The scamming and the conniving, all of that he learned from the father. Father taught him this is acceptable. You can intimidate people. You can scam people and get money. This is a way of life. His father taught him that. Whereas the sister had kind of a moral compass and was like, no, this is wrong. I don't want to be like this. And she tried to help him, Dirty John, and say, you don't need to do this. I think he was tainted.
He inherited the dad's dirty DNA, and the sister didn't.
That gave me compassion for him because he was badly abused as a young boy. He did not have a loving mother to kind of balance it out. To me, part of it wasn't his fault. He was mentally ill. He was raised to be a scammer. And he just kept taking it. And I think that's where you saw the progression of the mental illness. He couldn't just pick happy. When he was at the Thanksgiving dinner or the Christmas dinner with the whole family, and he said, it's so nice sitting around with family. You knew that he was just aching and really needy for that kind of a family event. He probably never had that growing up. So he could have transitioned nicely into that family and picked happy and lived happily ever after. But his mental illness was more than growing up in an environment, kept taking him into a darker and darker place. They're lucky that nobody was killed. I guess he was killed, and that was lucky, but the daughters weren't killed. Debra wasn't killed, or worse. So I thought those details were really important, the upbringing. And it was, to me, so heartbreaking.
You took the words out of my mouth. If he wasn't mentally ill, then he would have changed his ways and enjoyed the situation he was in, but he's not well. You and I were talking about, what would you do if the guy you married tried to kill your daughter?
Cheryl, I would not be a normal, rational, logical person. I would definitely react emotionally, and it would not be pretty. I would probably do something I would regret. I would just freak out. I would be mama bear. What about you?
I don't think I could ever kill somebody in exchange for something like that, but I do think I could have taken advantage of the pulling the plug on him. He wasn't doing well. It was going to have to be pulled. I guess for those that don't know, and we said it, he went after the youngest daughter to try and kill her, and she ended up stabbing him 13 times and one time in the eye, which is how horrible to know that your daughter has had that image and has felt a knife go into a person 13 times. I just wouldn't want him to mess with my emotional state any more than he's messed with us all. But would I be that rational at the time? Who knows? You know, I mean, if I arrived on the scene and he was there, you know, maybe I'd beat the hell out of him. People ask me, could you shoot someone coming in your house? I don't ever want to have to live with killing somebody. You know what I mean? So Same thing there. I could have pulled the plug. She was like, let someone else decide. I'm like, what do you need? Pull it. He's no good. Could you imagine if they brought him back?
I know. I couldn't believe he was alive. I was freaking out. I'm like, you've got to be kidding.
Like I said, I can't believe she didn't take the opportunity to pull the plug. I don't get that one.
And the sister had no problem.
Right.
When the nurse said, do you want to say goodbye? She said, I already said goodbye. She said goodbye to him years before when he'd taken advantage of her too many times.
Well, he took advantage of her he tried to ruin her. She gave him a trailer to live in. And he tried to take it from her.
Yeah.
He was just, they named it right, dirty to the core.
And the first wife with the 2 kids. She was so lucky to get out of it. The part that I really loved from a woman's point of view was the one woman that he dated, and he called back for a date. And she said, I Googled you. You're a loser. Do you remember that?
Yes. She was taking her life in her hands.
Yeah. She's like, I Googled you. You're a loser. Don't ever call me back again.
Why would she say that? Just say no. You Googled him, for God's sakes, woman.
I know, but I think she was trying to make a point, and he goes, I'll come after you at your work. And she's like, you come after me, you will regret it. Like, she was matching his energy. And I'm like, yeah. What other thoughts did you have?
I just thought, God, how scary. I mean, is it worth it? I know that's a terrible way to think, but again, I go to the same thing. I hear way too many horror stories, and I don't hear enough good stories. As a matter of fact, I hate to say this, I don't hear any good stories.
Yeah.
None.
Matters of the heart are complicated.
I think the best expression is you love who you love. You know, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just who you love.
What were your takeaways?
I guess believe the people around you, because there is something to be said for you don't see it when you're in it. You definitely don't see it when you're in it. I've lived that. And I think everybody has on certain situations when you walk away, you're like, holy hell, you know, I can't believe I put up with that, or things are so much clearer. So I guess really listen to the people around you that love you. Don't think that assume they're being petty, assume they're looking out for you because they love you. There's no reason to rush into anything and protect yourself with a prenup and everything like that. Anyone should understand that.
And do the research too on a person. Google them at least and try and get some background info.
What's your takeaway?
The big thing that stood out to me was the mother, first of all, how she could possibly forgive the son-in-law for killing her daughter. She was so forgiving. She had such a kind heart. And I guess it had to do with her spiritual background. And that's fine. But then I was thinking about Debra. How do you forgive yourself as a mother for putting your kids in danger? How is she possibly going to forgive herself for letting Dirty John into her kids' world and Dirty John trying to kill Tara? And then Tara having to have the memory of the knife going in his eyeball for the rest of her life. This is a true story. And there's a lot of moms out there that have done things to hurt their kids. And I just was reflecting on that. And how do you overcome that? So I started thinking about it, and I'm going to tell you a story. And I think it hit me because I feel like there's parts of me where I was a failure as a mother. There were things that I could have done different. And I'll get into it a little bit here. I'll tell you a story. So,
Can't we all?
When Mary was 6 months old, I wrote a letter and inserted it into her photo album. As you know, I'm a photographer, and I did all those creative photo albums. And I wrote her a little letter, and the first paragraph read, "I'm going to try and capture your childhood in this album. I want you to know that me and your dad love you very much, and we are going to try hard to give you an awesome childhood." So I had a really high expectation for myself as a mother to give my kids a great childhood. There's no reason why they shouldn't. So now Mary is about to turn 21, and there's a part of me that feels like I failed as a mother. There were times that I used bad judgment. I had bad behavior. I tried to control situations that I couldn't control. Then the wheels came off the bus, just like it did for Debra. My husband did not try and kill my kids or anything crazy like that. I'm talking about something like my son had a learning disability and I didn't handle it the way that I could have. That's the level, the scope of what I'm talking about here. But I think it's the same process you go through. I'll ask you at the end of what I have to say if you went through this. But this was my thinking. I was thinking I should be the perfect mother. We all have a definition of what we think the perfect mother is. And you know, for me, it's Carol Brady. I want to be her. I thought the mom that I was with all my strengths and everything that I brought to motherhood was not good enough, that I was not enough. Cheryl, as you know, I was very hard on myself. As my kids were growing up, I was very hard on Butch. I had a high expectation. I judged myself for situations that happened to my kids that I had no control over. They did stuff, things happened that I had no control over, and I was judging myself as a bad mom because those things happened. And then I felt responsible for all the problems in my family because I'm the leader. I'm the mom. If shit's going down, it's got to be my responsibility to make it better. I felt like I could control each family member like a pawn in a chess game, when really I was completely powerless. I couldn't control anything. The more that I tried to fix and control, the worse it got. I think finally, like every mom, I wanted to keep my kids safe from bullies, from themselves, because they used to fight all the time, and social systems that we live by. So Cheryl, I carried this pain with me for years. I did everything I could to numb it, ignore it, blame everybody else for everything that was happening. And I'm sure this is how Debra felt when John tried to kill her daughter, Tara. She was powerless. So my question is, how does a mom forgive herself? You know, you're sitting in this pain. You're sitting in the situation that happened. This is what I did. First, I had to let die my hopes for my kids to have a pain-free childhood. I wanted my kids to have a pain-free childhood. That's just not reality. But that's what I wanted. I had to let that die. You can't unsee and unhear what happened. This stuff happened. This stuff happened to Debra. She can't unhappen it. It happened. But you can't undo it after it's done. I had to accept that there were a lot of things that I just couldn't fix. You know, I did the best that I could, and I just couldn't fix it. Cheryl, I was so hard on myself that I had to learn to be compassionate with myself and talk to myself like I would my daughter or a coworker and, you know, lighten up a little bit. Another thing, I love my family more than anything, and I did the very best that I could. And I just have to accept that that was enough, that everything I did was enough. Letting go of the pain is the best thing that I can do moving forward. My family forgives me now and forgave me then for my shortcomings, and they love me anyway. They're not being so hard on me. And even in the Dirty John, Tara was not being so hard on Debra. She's like, Debra's like, I'm so sorry. And Tara's like, it's okay, Mom. It's okay. She had already forgiven her. She had still loved her mom, even through all of that. That is such a miracle. I have to accept I'm not the perfect mother. And by not being the perfect mother, you're subject to criticism. And I don't like criticism. I don't want somebody looking at me going, well, if you had done this as a mother, that wouldn't have happened. But I'm not perfect. I'm not. I did the best that I could. I had to forgive myself for thinking I was a failure. I had to accept I couldn't save my kids from their own hard lessons. I think as a mom, we try and rescue our kids from their lessons, and they have to learn their lessons. But that was hard for me to understand. So lastly, Cheryl, I had to release the guilt, shame, and blame and allow my mind and heart to experience total and complete forgiveness of myself for everything. And I'm sure Debra is working through this now. This is something that I had to work through. I've definitely forgiven myself, and, you know, I feel free from that pain today. And that's making me a better mother going forward. So whatever happens today with the pandemic or whatever crazy thing is next up on the list, I have all the energy in all of me right now today to handle it. I'm not living in that past. It got kind of deep for me looking at Debra and what she was facing with her daughter, Tara, and then how the mother reacted to the son-in-law. But I think the mother, she's free today. I'm sure she's grieving her daughter, but you can't live with that anger and that pain. It doesn't serve you. You just have to let it go. I mean, I'm kind of throwing this out to you. What are your thoughts? Have you ever felt like there were things you could have done different, better, some kind of heartache that you're carrying with your kids that was hard to let go?
I don't think I've reflected on it like you have, because I still think I'm in it. And when the kids are all grown and gone is when it's all going to come tumbling down on me. I can't see it because I'm in it, because I didn't think that I would ever be divorced. I had 2 kids and got divorced when they were very little, you know, raced through that. And then I had daycare, and I learned very quickly you cannot be a worker. I'm getting emotional. Sometimes when I talk about this stuff, it's not like an upset over, but when I talk about it, I guess it's like emotions you don't hit. So when they verbally come out, it's completely different than thinking them. You know what I mean? But I guess I just, taking them to daycare, found out like this just sucks. You cannot do 100% with them and do 100% at work. So I learned that real quick. And then, I was the sole parent in the house, and then I had to make all the decisions, and that's exhausting. And pay the bills. I mean, there's just like no relief. My daughter is here during the pandemic. I keep telling her, think about what we're going to do if you don't go back. And I think you should. So I'm thinking the best way to go back and get her stuff, should she change her mind? How am I going to plan this out? So my point is that there's always stuff. You always have stuff in your head. And then I have work. And I think it's the truest thing ever. I always say you don't get your performance review from your kids till about 30, 35 years down the road. And there's not a damn thing you can do to change it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I started out with my path completely changing the way I thought I would handle things. So I just feel like you do the best you can. You have to forgive other people, so you have to forgive yourself. Will stuff come tumbling down on me later on, when I'm out of it? We'll see. But for right now, I think I've done the best I can. Very few people, I guess, set out like Dirty John's dad. I think I'll be okay when I'm gone and I can see everything clearly. Yeah, I mean, you can only do what you can do. The other way I learned that was 5 kids, you too, family of 5, every kid turned out differently. Same parents. And you can see when they're a baby what personality they have. If they're going to be, stubborn or defiant or whatever the case may be. You can see that as a parent early on. So I always say, too, we're just the bumper lanes on the aisle.
Cheryl, I think we both agree being a mom is the hardest job we'll ever have. Also, I have known you for over 20 years, and I think you have done an amazing job raising your kids, and your courage truly inspires me. I would like to invite our listeners to like our Conversations with Carol and Cheryl Facebook page, our Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for listening, everybody.